You keep pushing me, boy.
Research complete.
Now for some fun stuff. This is going to be Fantasy versus ZerO. And I think it's safe to say that these two guys are pretty much the most creative players of their respective races. ZerO, of course, the king of queens, uses queens in every matchup, and not only that, but he has some very strategic game sense, very interesting builds. They don't always work, but hey, a lot of fun to watch no matter what. In Fantasy, what can be said about Fantasy that hasn't been said 100 times the past couple of years? The Valkyrie Master, the Vulture Terrorist, comes up with ridiculous mech, and then he transformed mech into Bio-Valk and all kinds of weird strategies. So I'm hoping we see both these guys go for just weird stuff. I want to see Queens versus Valkyries. I think the Valkyries would probably win in that battle, but hopefully there'll be more units than that inside the game. Yeah, the consensus among the prediction leavers in the comments seems to be that Group C is the group of death. Except down at the 5 o'clock position in purple is ZerO, scouting over to the 8 o'clock position in teal where Fantasy is. ZerO, I'm actually not sure. I looked there, but I'm not sure if ZerO is wearing his purple frames or not. His purple glasses. I think we got red glasses for Fantasy. Oh, I don't know where these guys get these frames. You pick those out from the ladies section. Admit it. Admit it. It's okay. Embrace your manhood. It's okay to wear woman's glasses. You can be the David Bowie of your era. But, okay, so ZerO is going to scout Fantasy first. Hopefully Fantasy won't 14 command center and end up with a 9 pull or a over pull on his hands. But yeah, let me get a lot of predictions out here. Everyone seems to love Group C. So, oh yeah, there's a little sign that says Fantasy the Vulture Terrorist. Actually, I didn't make that up. It looked like a little terrorist on there. But okay, here's one from LAN 5555. There weren't 5 5s there. I say you go for the 5th 5. But, writes, Fantasy will become the champion for tall, awkward people all around the world and crush his group. Okay, he will probably lose to ZerO, but he will beat the others. Okay, here's one from Pyoro Timjin. Writes, Swarm season's over. Fantasy versus ZerO is going to be hopefully creative awesomeness on both sides. Let's hope he goes mech. We'll see about that. I'm going to have to look and see if Fantasy is getting his gas right now or not. That will indicate a mech build. I don't see the gas yet for Fantasy. Oh, look at the observers. They're looking at that gas. They're saying, come on, Fantasy, go for mech. Go for Bio-Valk, Valkyrie, and medics with optical flare or something. But all right. So ZerO, he put down his hatchery first. Now he's putting down his spawning pool. So even if Fantasy went for a 14cc, he wouldn't be able to counter it. And here's another prediction from Poker Tricks, with a Z, of course. Go ZerO! 5 exclamation points! The best part of this Terminator series is the fact that ZerO has found the weakness to this machine. It was Queens. ZerO versus Flash in the final. ZerO FTW! Still no gas up for Fantasy, so it looks like he's going for a pretty standard build, at least so far. We'll see what he does later, mid to late game. Here's one from Daniljo, writes, would like to see epic comeback in quotes, from Fantasy. With all new Fantasy build consisting of only nukes and battle cruisers. There we go. We need nukes and optical flare. Here's another one. I'll wrap it up with this one. Is it goal? Something. Right. Group C. I couldn't agree with you more, Nuke. ZerO will infest everyone and force them to explode somewhere. Go ZerO. I love that. We'll force them to explode somewhere. Hey, what is this? What is this decal doing on my screen? Ah, freaking television. Get off. Go away. That little guy is actually staring at the SEV building stuff. Creeping me out. I'm glad it went away. That's actually the reason I stopped watching TV here, is all the freaking ads filling the screen. Usually like 2/3 of the screen filled up with a stupid ad that's moving. People are walking by. Ah, so stupid. So don't turn into that, Korea. You don't want to go that low. So, okay, ZerO coming in. Very standard Flash-like fast expand from Fantasy. Going for his factory earlier, though. This is a pretty early factory from him. So we might see some initial Vulture harass. If he can trick ZerO into think he's just going for a Medic Marine opener, maybe he can sneak a Vulture through, get his Vulture speed up, maybe try to sneak into the main. Fantasy loves his Vulture harass. He is so good at it. His Vulture control is definitely the best in the game. Even though Fantasy, he's kind of been... I guess it's a slump, because Fantasy is still a great player, but he's been losing when it really counts, so I guess that does qualify for slumpage for Fantasy. Ever since his win in the Pro League Finals, all of his wins in the Pro League Finals just did magnificently in those finals. He's kind of been, losing here and there. Then he lost a little bit more and a little bit more. And now I hope he can pick himself back up, because he really is one of the most creative Terrans out there. So much fun to watch. And he's going against ZerO. What kind of craziness are we going to see in this game? I can only imagine. Fantasy is already going for something a little bit unorthodox, putting down his factory this early. So we're going to see some craziness. Just you watch. It's okay. Fantasy's still hanging outside the front. He has plenty of medics up there. Starport coming up. I don't see any activity on that factory, so this could be a Wraith build of some kind. Or Valkyries. A man can dream. But the Spire will be up pretty soon, and I don't think Valkyries would be out in time to intercept the Mutalisk, but we'll see. ZerO's still hanging outside the front, right next to that bridge where Fantasy is. I saw Fantasy putting the control tower on that starport. Oh, man. Are you going for Valkyries, Fantasy? I want to see it. Valconic. Valkyrie Bionic build. Fantasy is still scouting around looking for a third base. He wants to know where that third base is so he can attack it in a second with his little squad. Okay, he does get the scan of the natural. He sees that there are 2 colonies there that will be morphed to Sunkens as soon as ZerO sees that troop moving out. But because Fantasy is teching up this much, he's not going to move out for a little while. He's going to have his troops there, but he'll probably need them to defend now. Oh, I see the armory coming up. The armory's up. This is going to be Valkyries.